people have like these opinions about like, oh, well, this is like my principles, like this is like my morality or whatever. I place like pretty much no value in like principles or morality. I think that these are things that are, these are top-down ideas that are given to you by the elites that people are used, that are used against them as methods of control. And I think that if you look at most people that are in like an advantageous position, those people don't follow any of those morals or ideals at all. And I think that they're used, it's the same as like religion and things like this. You know, they're used in a way that allows and creates the virtuousness of the people that are successful. Yeah, I understand it's probably like kind of a crazy take to think that, but I think most morality is dictated by the leadership, and I think that morality is curated in a way that allows the current leadership to continue to exist. I don't think it's as intrinsic as people might want it to believe. Leadership has nothing to do with someone's personal morals. Yeah, it does. You don't even see it because it's in the DNA of everything you do. You cancel why you're wrong because you banned them? I didn't ban him. I usually don't ban people. Like, a lot of the people that I ban are people that are rude. Like, I don't usually ban people just for saying, I don't agree with what you're saying here, or like whatever. It's very uncommon for me to do that. Yeah, I just ban people that are stupid or disagree in a rude way. Playbook behavior and morality influence ancient high schoolers thing. I think that it's very easy for people to say that. It's something that, like, it might make you seem smart or think that you're smart because you're like, oh, well, this is something that, like, dumb people think. But it's probably hard for people to actually say why. I was smart for community function in non-toxic fashion. Society disagrees because toxic equals when. Well, it depends. Intrinsic based on survival, emotional dependency of other people. Yeah, I think that a lot of people... There are some values that the vast majority of humanity holds. Don't kill, don't steal. Laws and moralities are made to regulate bad actors. Well, people hold ideals until until it's inconvenient to hold that ideal. That's always like what my opinion is that everybody is very moral and just and, you know, like good at thinking about things. But the moment that they're challenged or they need something that's beneficial, they'll throw their morals out immediately and just do whatever is best for them. And I think that that's the thing, is like morality is not a tangible thing. You can't touch morality. You can't see it. You can't eat it. You can't spend money with it. You can't do anything with it. It's effectively not real. And it's metaphysical. Yeah, it's metaphysical. It's something that exists beyond the physical state. And any time that something, especially with morality, right? It's something like this, like an ideology. Anytime that a person is put in a position where they have to decide between the real and the ideal, the real always wins. Not true, bullshit. Not always. I think that it's almost always, because the people who didn't say, who said, no, I'm not going to do that, they got weeded out by evolution a million years ago. It's not that simple. No, it's not that simple, but it's not that more complex either. Explain religious people. Explain why people go to church and then the moment that they're done with it, they go out and get drunk and fuck hookers. I think that you're the one who needs to be doing the explaining. Yeah, it's like, wasn't it like the guys that did September 11th, like the day before they did it, they went out and they partied at like strip clubs and stuff, even though that they were supposed to be like, you know, devout religious people? Straw man match? What about this is a straw man? This person provided me an example, and I said that that's not true, and I don't know. I don't think that's a straw man. I think that's common sense. Just because you go to church doesn't mean you really believe in God. No true Scotsman, is that right? I don't agree with that. Most religious people don't see themselves as equal to everyone else. One anecdote doesn't prove anything. Well, neither does it disprove what I'm saying, right? I mean, I'm saying, like, if somebody sends me a throwaway statement, I will respond with a throwaway statement. I think that's fair. And again, like, all I'm saying is that there's a lot of people who are religious and they believe in things like this, and I think that the moment that it becomes beneficial for them not to, they choose not to do that. And I think it's very common. It's the same with everybody, right? It's like people care about, that was true, that having no morality or values was superior, we wouldn't have evolved to live in society, civilizations, evolution's direct evidence of when humanity works together. Don't fuck each other, we succeed. Well, I don't think it's an absolute, right? So like, yeah, there are things that are like, what you're saying is true. You're right about that. But I think that there's like a lot of finer points of morality that are not as specific. So like, let me give you like some ideas of morality that I think are kind of created by, you know, effectively like a ruling class. Like the idea that having money and being successful is virtuous. I think this is a very common feeling, and also like an old element of morality that was dictated by no one says that. You don't think anybody, no one thinks that. I think that a lot of people do, and the thing is that the kinds of people that have these conversations are ones that don't think that. But I think that it's actually extremely common, because it's kind of like the same idea with like the pay to win aspect, is that you have like a large amount of unwashed masses that see somebody like, you know what a good example of this is? It's like the Johnny Depp thing, right? The people that are like going out there and chasing after his car. It's like, yeah, they're fans of his movie, but people romanticize and like idealize people that are rich or successful to an extent where they become no longer people. Successful virtuous is taken straight from Protestant morality virtues. Well, yeah, and then also like before then, there was something that was referred to as like the divine succession of kings, which is that the king is ordained by God. So it's like, not only is he the king because he's the king, but he's also the king because God wants him to be the king. And I think that's an example of like morality that's dictated from like a top-down perspective. And I think that you still have places that are like that. Like I think Saudi Arabia has a king, and a few other places do too. And you know, I think that many of the places that have monarchies in that way are simultaneously very religious. I think there's a reason for that. So I think that there's a lot of people who want to be like successful and like rich, and people view those people as being like smarter, more virtuous, and just in general like better people. That's why people want to be around them. That's why people like want to be wealthy. That's why they really like having expensive cars and stuff like this, and expensive clothes. Is like they see a rich person or a successful person wearing something, and then they want to do the same thing. It's called the halo effect. It's not the halo effect. The halo effect refers to people who it's their appearance. I'm talking about somebody's success. Preservation of morality doesn't mean the social agreements amongst humans created in society aren't so important. I think that they're important, but what I'm saying is that a lot of the, like for example, like drugs. I think drugs are a good example. The way that the morality is handed down through things like reefer madness and stuff like this, it's reinforced by the government. This is not something that's reflective of the overall population. Nobody thinks someone who's a fast car is a good person. I think a good person is it's a deliberate oversimplification. Yeah, being a good person, it's a deliberate oversimplification of what I'm saying. It's that this person is mentally superior. This person is smart. This person is probably charismatic. And like seeing somebody who's successful, the expectation with that comes with other things. Like being a good person is like very narrow. And I think also like in general, the no stealing or whatever, you know, government says stealing is bad, and then like, you know, there's a famine and nobody has food, and so they expect and hope that people will follow that rule. But sometimes it's not the best thing for people's survival. Wait, for understanding of things that you're talking about? Well, what part of what I'm understanding is what part of my understanding is flawed? Yeah, what part of it is flawed? People conflate athlete success with morals? Yeah, exactly. I don't know where to start. You went on about things that are intangible not being real. That's obviously false. I don't know where to start. I bet you don't. Things that are intangible not being real. Like what? What is real that's intangible? Like it's such a transparently silly argument. And I also didn't even say that it wasn't real. Gravity? Well, that's fair. I think that's fair. But gravity is reinforced by something that's tangible. You could say that. You love your family friends, right? That all has qualities you said aren't real. Oh, absolutely. I mean, sure. But what I'm saying is that like for example, Like, whenever you care about somebody, like, let's say it's a family member or whatever, there's usually a limit to that. And, like, for example, there's people that are, like, into drugs or whatever in school. And I think that's a big factor. Yeah, it's a massive factor. You watch the debates, the guy. Yeah, I mean, so it's like these things matter, and like you do care about people and love them and things like that. But the moment that people become enough of a liability on your life, then they will, people will push them away. What's this here? It's a really nuanced conversation. Your stance on morality being intangible, therefore not real, is silly. I can articulate why in a message to you if you're interested. Other streams hate this tag. Well, I think that it's fake entirely, and I think that every single time that people are pushed to the point where they have to discard their morality, they will do so. I think that most people will. Not everybody, but I think that overwhelmingly most people will do that. Like, for example, if something is like left unattended and it's like something expensive, I think you can expect people to pick that up and steal it. And these people will come up with an excuse of like why it's okay or whatever, but at the end of the day, that's what's going to happen. Reality is just bullshit PR. Yeah. And I think that you see that happen all the time. Is that there's a lot of people who, you know, they work jobs that they feel are immoral. They do something like that, but you can never really expect a person to like quit their job because it's their job. You mean it's possible to use their, it's possible to keep their moral code. Why use a weak-minded as an excuse to not have one? I wouldn't necessarily say that trying to do things for your own survival is weak-minded. Is it weak-minded to stick by your ideals to your own detriment? Or is it weak-minded to try to hold on to an imaginary thing at the expense of your own life? Basically saying majority of humans will compromise their morals if pushed enough? Yeah, absolutely. The overwhelming majority. If you're made homeless, starving in the street, someone offer you stolen food or money, you take it, for example? Yeah. Or a person is selfish, they truly believe that there's a greater good than themselves. I think that, like, again, it's... I don't know how we even got here from talking about, like, pay to win or whatever. But I honestly, I'm trying to even think, like, why I even was talking about this. No one wants to think they're antagonists in their own story. Yeah, I think so. Doing. Yeah, the thing is that, yeah, a little tangent. Talking about spectrum of life and death and microtransactions, blanketing is never good for arguments. Well, blanketing is never really something that's accurate, but I think it's good to dictate what you can expect people or things to go, where you can expect things to go in a general sense. Is there any upcoming Genshin sponsorship for you? Not yet, no. Gotcha, Andes was saying you've abandoned your principles. Well, I would gladly abandon my principles if it meant my own benefit. Like, I think the only difference between me and a lot of other people is I don't care. Like, I would just say it. Like, yeah, it's, yeah. So I was talking shit. Oh yeah, no, I mean, people are gonna look at me that way, and it's okay. Your principle is to benefit yourself. Yeah, that's basically the, yeah, that's the primary morality right there. Yeah, it benefit me. Do what I want to do. What about gambling streams? Guess it's not your morals preventing you from taking the money. More so negative backlash. I don't like gambling streams. I think it's weird. I just don't like doing it. Principles? I mean, like, in a way, but, like, I mean, not really. I just don't really... The thing is, like, everybody that, like, says it's, like, image and stuff like that, nah, that shit goes away after a year or so, and then the people that bring it up are considered losers. For example, that you don't like it because it's bad. That's a principle. I think I don't like gambling because I know I'm going to lose. That's why I don't gamble. It's because I know I'm going to lose. Like, it's programmed to make you lose. Example, hooked on gambling, my principles got thrown off the roof in a heartbeat. Sad man unforgivable, totally human. Yeah. Yeah, house always wins. Yeah, I would gamble if I thought I'd win. Knowing, therefore, is not worth it as principle. I think it's kind of abstract. Only weak-minded people gamble unless they have a sponsor. Listen, if people want to gamble and make money off of it, that's all. I'm all for it. That's why you don't gamble. Isn't a gambling stream not about gambling, but stream content about logic and get you gambling? You're not gambling because the activity's not the point. Point's the audience. I don't think it would be beneficial for me in the long term as well. Like, I don't think that Like, I don't really, yeah, I don't find it to be beneficial. Make every decision, is this good for me or not? And if it's good for me, I do it. If it's not good for me, I don't do it. And also, I don't like doing it. So it's like, it's not just like one thing, it's like 3 or 4 things. You know, do you gamble, lose your hair? Yeah.